We drive this thing more than the 4th gen now. We just left the pediatrician for the baby back there. Now we're going all the way back down to Louisville. We're gonna get us some AMP research running boards. And then this truck will have steps. We just got back. It would probably put another 3.5 hours of cruise time on this thing today, just running errands and doing stuff. And I fed her Taco Bell in the back seat, and now there's cheese literally everywhere. But we got this AMP running board set up. There's the wiring harness. Here's the steps. So these came off a 2018 Duramax. The guy was super cool to meet. The way I understand this, these can be hardwired into the truck. So that's kind of my goal. Anybody that's been paying attention or watched me build this truck, I integrated the bear claw latches out of the Dodge in here. So that controls all the lights that come on, you know, at nighttime. And that's gonna control my running boards when they get done. And also the interior lights. So we're set up for success. I think the way I'm gonna mount these, you know, the C60s had their mounting points right there on each one of the cab mounts. So those are solid points, and when I did the rockers, I welded brand new nuts in there, so that way they are definitely solid and they're not all screwed up and gummed up. So I'm gonna use those as anchor points and build whatever I gotta build out of 1/4-inch plate and make these Duramax steps fit this truck, and then hardwire it into this, so that way when I open the doors, they pop down just like they're supposed to. And I'll probably put an override switch in there too, because apparently from what I've been reading, that's what people like to do, so that way it makes it easier to clean the steps. And then after they get mounted, I'm probably gonna put the flare that goes right there back on and trim it shorter or something to give it like a nice little sweep look that transitions into those running boards. Here we go, here's our mock-up. This is gonna be sweet. So I just got under there and looked. This is like right under where the cab mount is, just further, a hair further forward would be. It's gonna be right in that area. I'll have to figure all that out. It probably will be just a slight amount further forward. Anyway, so what I'm gonna do next is get the wiring harness, plug this in, see if it even works. I've determined these things work. Obviously they don't work off the OBD2 port. It looks like that's a GM part number. I wonder if I can just buy a Dodge one and plug it into this. This got part number 2. I don't know if it can read one for a Mopar. Who knows? But this is what I did figure out. This wiring harness right here has got these 2 CAN bus wires that goes into the OBD2 port. All I'm doing here is taking these and I'm just grounding them out on a piece of metal. It reached a second ago. So I'm just grounding these things out on this piece of metal. The other step's right here, you can't see it. But they're working. The lights are working. The only thing that seems to be going on is just by grounding these out like this, they are running opposite. Like one's extending and the other's retracting. So that's going to be a problem. But all 4 of the motors are good. That was what I was worried about. Somebody somewhere is probably going to think this is the most ridiculous thing they have ever seen in their life. Why in the F did I not just buy some that fit a 2010 Dodge Ram? Because there wasn't any for sale on Marketplace near me. And these ones for the Duramax was like less than half the price of some new ones. But we have a solution to them opening up opposite of one another. All I did was reverse the polarity coming out, going into the motor, and now they're in sync. So I don't know if ground is the door open or the door closed, but they move together. So anyway, we have verified that they work without a doubt. So I guess what I need to do is take this plug apart, swap the wires around, plug it in, run the wiring harness, start fabricating some metal. Also, the other reason that this wasn't that big of a deal for me to just buy something off of any random truck is because even if I bought something that fit a 2010 to 12 Dodge Ram, this isn't a 2010 to 12 Dodge Ram. I mean, technically the frame is, you know, it would have plugged and played. And I know they make a pass-through harness for the OBD2 thing, so that's not that big of a deal either. But where's the fun in making it easy? I'm gonna have to fabricate some brackets to fit this no matter what. even if it was for a Dodge Ram, because they bolt to the cab, and this is not a Dodge Ram cab. So this, I think, is going to work out just fine. Seems to me like. So I got this thing figured out now. I figured I would just wire it into this light that's down there, and that was the light that's on the bottom of the mirrors on the 4th gen. You know, like those, the puddle lights. But come to find out, those are grounded all the time, and they receive 15 seconds or so of power when the door is opened, and these want to see it ground. There's a logic in that box, and apparently whatever the Duramax, well, GM logic is, it likes to see it ground. I would assume that if these were Dodge running boards, the logic in the box would be to see power. But either way, I had to get fancy here and backtrack. I'm leery to do this because it's been knocking my brand new suspension. But anyway, here it is. It works. Flailing around on the ground down there, hitting my lift kit. Anyway, I had to come in here. I just did this to, like, you know, test this theory out. But anyway, this receives a ground. This purple wire receives a ground whenever the door is open, and then whenever the door is closed, apparently the ground goes away. Apparently my door's not closed. What's going on here? Yeah, it definitely didn't latch that time. All right. Now that that's all done, I got to figure out where that purple wire is on this side of the plug, and then run it down to this wire down there. And then once we get that done on both sides, I'll tidy up the wiring harness because it's just hanging completely loose down here, just to get a good idea, or just to make sure I can make this work before I go and figure out how to fabricate these brackets. I ended up putting the module on this side of the truck. I'll have to do something to tie it up down here because this looks like crap. It's just flailing around. But it's hooked to the battery there and grounded to this. So the long side goes to the driver's side, and the short side just goes right down there. So I tried something different here. This is the passenger side one, flipped around on this side. And I was like, I wonder if that would work. It seems halfway logical because then the mount is right there, and that's pretty much where you're going to be stepping anyway. And this one, if you're just jumping in the bed of the truck. But of course, I got this new air pump there that I literally just put on in the last video I made, which I was like, all right, fine, cool, I'll move it. Let me see what I can do with the other side. And then I get over here, and then I didn't realize it, but I've got stuff here too. That's the valve for the air horn. So either way, I'm going to be moving stuff. And then this motor, where it hangs down real low like this, you know, facing the right direction, it hits the suspension up here. So I don't know what I'm going to do. And that cab mount. So we're going to have to figure something out. All right, it's the normal scene here on Monday morning. Worked all night last night. Now we're chugging coffee. We're not wasting any time. We're getting straight after this. Sleep deprived and all. But this truck's not going to build itself. So here's what I come up with. This is the last thing I did Friday before I went to work. So these are on backwards from the Duramax, but from the 2018 Duramax Step, the way they would be. But there's the air compressor for this MaxPeedingRods airbag kit. I put it right there so that way you could see it at a car show. Somebody could glance under here. But turns out the way these steps are made, there's the motor right there, and there's another one about midways through this door. And this is going to be a better way to mount this, I think, than the other way around. Because if this was on the passenger side of the truck, like this is the passenger step, this electric motor hits my suspension components up there, and it just literally does not fit at all, period. Now, I got to looking when I had some downtime over the weekend. The 2010 through 12 Dodge Ram steps that actually would plug into this wiring harness, there is a motor right at the very front and the very back, so it literally would not have worked, and it's probably a good thing that I have these Duramax steps. So I'm just going to have to move this air compressor, and on the other side, my valve for the air horn and some of the piping and ducting and stuff. And also, it's hitting the cab mount. So you can see there, like the cab mount and the suspension, that's just where this motor was for the running boards. Now, I may have to extend the wires a little bit. That's no big deal. But so what we're working on right now, first thing this morning, is getting this mounted to the cab, because I got the wiring figured out. And as soon as this is solid to the cab, I'm going to plug the wiring in, open the door. It will be hardwired into the truck. I will also have to tap the wire coming out of this door, because what I ended up having to do is go in here, tap this wire, and then I slaved it into that down there, so I know it works. So I'm going to have to come up here under the dash somewhere, figure out where this wire is, tap it, and run it down, and it'll go into that. And then I'll also have this one tapped, probably right in this area, and it'll go down along under here where this metal is. So there's a wiring harness under there for all the new people that haven't seen this yet. And I bent some metal to go over it to protect it there. That's why there's that hump. Anyway, go under there, tap into that thing too. And then there we'll have electric steps.
Switch it up.
All right, we got something to show for now. We are tack welded up to the truck. I just threw power back on it, plugged it in. Got this one wire slaved into it. Pretty freaking cool, man. It's all floppy right now. I'm gonna have to finish welding it and bolt it all the way tight. I love it. This is gonna be super cool. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, that's sweet. All right, time to get moving. All right, so here's where we're at with these things. They work, they're on there. I gotta adjust them, I gotta finish welding them, I gotta tie up all the wires, and I still gotta do the other side. So when these things are down, like I like how they were, they've got a little bit of a gap in there because I stood on them, and like I said, they need to be finished welded, so it probably just warped it a hair bit. But anyway, this is before I stepped on it. They're like slightly downhill from level. So I'm gonna build them out so that way they are up like that a little. You know what I mean? Like they're downhill right now. I'm gonna make them where they're level. And then when I do that, that'll also close this gap. We're back. It is the next morning. We're gonna put this step on. Yesterday was St. Patrick's Day. I got a little bit too Irish yesterday. Moving slow today, but I come by it honestly. But here's our metal. We got them all marked. We got our dots for holes. We're gonna tap them here in a second. Cut this one out, that one, this square right here, and then this big long piece. So that goes under the door. It goes to the front rocker, well, cab, whatever the heck it is, to the front cab structure and to the middle cab structure, and then it bolts in, and then I'm bolting wedges, or I'm welding wedges to it. And then that's what this thing mounts to. And then this one just comes off the back of the cab back here. Well, we've done it again. 1/2 inch steel. Let the smoke out of the grinder. No bueno. All right, well, we got all of our pieces cut out, and we are about to start welding and drilling stuff. All right, we got the passenger side on and functional. Pretty cool. Uno mas. I had to reroute this valve for my air horn and the pressure gauge and the fill and all that good stuff. And then after that, what I'm gonna do is take this copper line that goes all the way up. I'm gonna take it out and paint it black or maybe blue. And then I'm gonna go back up in here and I'm gonna brace that piece that holds this one on one more time just for good measure. And I gotta take the bracket out that I built to fit these things, and then I gotta paint that one. So there's still quite a bit to do on this side. Oh, and then once I put the copper thing back in, I gotta zip tie all those cables up and then stick these lights. These lights, I don't know, there's lights in there somewhere. Yeah, there's one. So I gotta stick those, I'll probably stick them to the frame, like right on the round section, so that way they're sticking out and down at the same time. We'll see, I guess. But I like how this thing hides the frame. So you gotta like really get down and look now to see the frame, because I thought it was too visible. I put this cab as low as I could on the frame too, and I didn't want it sticking out too much. So yeah, we're coming along. Then the other side, I gotta go back and pretty much just redo it, because I did quite a few things differently on this side, and this one never did get fully finished anyway. And so yeah. So that's funny, because the dude that I bought these from was like, yeah, they're super easy to install. Well, they probably are on a 2018 Duramax like they're supposed to bolt to, but I've had to fabricate a lot of stuff just to make this work. And the wiring, I had to reverse the polarity on the motors for whatever reason. One would function that way and the other one would suck up, and I don't know why they were doing that. So I had to reverse the polarity on just one motor on each side, and now they operate going the same direction. I don't understand why it's that way, but obviously you can see it's figured out now. Yeah, buddy, we're ready for mowing season 2K25. Skipped all the boring parts, sharpened the blades, changed the oil, greased the mowers. About to change the tires on the trailer. Got to change oil on these two. I wish that truck whistled like this one. Oh yeah, we're gonna look good this year. Good thing I went through and ops checked everything, because watch this. Well, the clutch was going out last year, and apparently over the winter, just sitting out, it does not work at all. So that really sucks. All right, guys, we are back from running errands. We got new tires for the trailer, so that'll finally get out of here. Ended up with a new push mower, since I got some push mow yards this year. They'll be good for my fat. Bought a brand new weed eater, since, well, you saw what happened to this one, so yeah. Brand new weed eater. This was an expensive day yesterday. We got us a little bitty snow plow. I don't know what I'm gonna put that thing on. It's like too narrow for a truck, and I think it's supposed to be for a zero turn, but zero turns suck on literally every surface. So maybe I'll get myself a quad. I don't know, we'll see. But yeah, time to knock out some chores. and get this trailer out of the garage and get it the rest of the way ready for mowing season to make me some dollars to pay for this. All right, so this is done for the time being. So what I'm going to focus on now, this has been bothering me so bad because all these never did get screwed down. All these lines nice and straight, and then we're going to screw this down because I literally cannot stand how floppy this wood is. I mean, you see how much it's shrunk since I put this stuff in over a year ago. I had the dirt bike up here in the last video that I made, and then, you know, I got to spin it around to drive it out. And then I did that last time, and it literally fell through the floor. Like one of these pivoted, and then the tire went down like that. So that is by far the most annoying thing I've ever had to deal with. Well, that's 100% better than it was, and I was able to get away with doing this with screws I already had and those two little pieces of wood that I already had, so it didn't cost me any extra money, which is good. So finally, we are done getting all this stuff together. Felt like it took forever. But we got a brand new weeder eater, a brand new clutch in that weeder eater, mowers serviced, trailer serviced, brand new rubbers back here. Both the 6.7 Cummins trucks are serviced. Old orange, I think, is good for now. So now we can finally get back to putting these steps on this truck. Also, brand new push mower. Well, new to me. Sharpened blades, all the boring stuff, so we skipped that. But we'll get right back to doing the steps. This is done too. Any of y'all watching this, now's the time to pay attention because I'm going to ask you a question that somebody might know. All right, so this truck was a ragged out tradesman, the Dodge underneath the Chevy, and tradesman did not have remote start. This truck didn't even have a key fob. It just has a key. So somebody out there probably knows the answer to this. See, it's got this. It doesn't have a key fob. That truck, key fob, remote start, keyless entry, whatever. This one does have electric locks, and of course I fabricated all that stuff into the doors, yada yada. That's why the steps work. Okay, yeah, that one still needs some grinding. So what I'm getting at here, I bought this Omega Link remote starter, and I haven't even tried to plug this into the truck yet. That did not come with directions, so I'm halfway thinking that somebody bought it and then returned it and left the directions out of the box, which is what I'm considering doing, returning it. Because I always wanted factory remote start. I would rather have that anyway. I'm under the impression that this thing, or I was under the impression that I could run it through the smartphone here. And anyway, to program that, I think you got to have the factory key fob. So you got to like lock the truck with the key fob so that way it syncs to that or whatever, which I don't have. So this being a tradesman, my question right now is, now that everybody's brought up to speed, I know there's a hood latch. I don't even know why I'm showing you this. Obviously, this is the Chevy one. So yeah, basically my question is, if I buy the hood latch, plug it into this truck's wiring, theoretically, if it even has it, and then get a key fob and program it to the truck, can I use Alpha OBD and program my truck to have remote start with factory key fob? Somebody, somewhere, comment. I'll literally give you my number. You can call me and tell me everything you know about this. I need answers because this truck needs to get remote start. So we'll try that thing out here after a while. But currently, we're going to finish up the steps project. Here's where we're at with this. So this is obviously 1/2-inch copper, and that goes from back there to up here on the other side to my air horns along the length of the frame. And then here's the brackets that hold it up with some neat little 8L clamps on the other side. So we're going to get fancy. We're going to paint these blue, and we're going to paint the copper tube here silver. This is the same paint that I used to paint the steering wheel on the black truck. This one right there. This black truck. C10 steering wheel. So that turned out pretty good. Obviously, it's like 10 or 12 years old now, but Anyway, I sanded that down, so that's what we're going to get to first. And the reason that I'm doing this as I'm doing the steps is because it goes along the length of the frame, and it's a very convenient spot to zip tie all the wiring harness to that goes to this electric steps over there. And I got to tie this side up. I got to finish the bracket on the passenger side, and then we're going to come over here, and where I've been stepping on this one and it was tack welded, I got to reform, you know, because it's obviously hanging way too low. And then we're gonna brace it all the way back up and be good to go.
Switch it up.
Here we are. These things are painted, clear coated, nice and pretty. Let them dry for a while. All right, so I cut these brackets out. These are gonna go, and they're gonna help support. They're gonna go pretty well like that. I'll have to get under here and hold them exactly in place and then tack weld them. But then I'll take all this back apart, and then I'll put it up there on the table and zap it really good. Like this on this side too. And hopefully that will help support the weight, because this big 1/4 inch plate does flex, because I mean it's bolted there and bolted back here, and it does flex a little bit, and I'm trying to get rid of that flex right here. All right, we finally officially have one side done. So it's nice and solid. You can stand on it. The whole truck's moving around. Beautiful. Right back into the same spot. All right, so here is what we got done finally. So I had to take apart all this stuff. But anyway, there's our pretty brand new brackets. Here's this stuff. It's already got scuffed up, but oh well. So that is silver. I know it looks like it's gray or something, but yeah, blue all the way down through here. That's why I wanted to get this painted, so that way I could just zip tie all these wires as I go. And then brand new brackets back here. Light stuck on the bottom of the cab. And then this bracket painted real beautiful like, and the light stuck on that. Been doing a lot of blue brackets here lately. The last video was all blue brackets too with this airbag system. So, pretty cool. We're looking good, lots of contrast. If anybody glances up under here, they're gonna be like, dang, that's neat looking. So, I mean, I guess we're not literally fully done, because the only thing that I got to do over here still is the end. You know, this was my air hose. There's the air tank. But where this bracket and this electric motor is now, that's right where this was. So, obviously, this is a lot more functional because I use that, like, rarely. And this will get used every day. We'll figure out whatever we got to do to get this, you know, back up to here. I'm a lot more worried about the other side. Get my airbag controller back on. So, gotta go, basically what we just did, finish the mounts on the other side, weld them all the way since they were just tack welded, and then we gotta remount our airbag system, or our air compressor for the airbag system. So here we go with that. so this step is technically on the truck, but I'm not happy with it. You see how it's like sticking out just a hair, you know? It was in the right spot, and then for whatever reason now it's not, but luckily it is just tack welded. Back here we're good. It's exactly how I want it to be. So anyway, I took a break from welding and cutting and grinding because that was really starting to piss me off, the fact that that was wrong. So I tied up all my wires, except, you know, that light right there, because obviously it mounts to this structure whenever it gets done and painted and put on there final. But that one's on. That's just mud, not scratches. And then this goes to the MaxPeedingRods airbag system, which I'm working on right now. So I had it mounted from on this thing, and then this plugs into the harness over here, as well as this thing going into it. So anyway, you can see how far that sticks out past, you know, it was right here. So I'm still using this bracket that I made last week, or in the last video. It's been like 3 or 4 weeks ago now. But anyway, I'm gonna make another one, basically that exact same shape, just slightly higher up, because that's where the frame bends. And it's gonna go right there. I got a headlight on, that's why it's doing all these shadows. But yeah, so that's what I'm about to work on. I'm gonna bend that thing up right now. All right, so this side does work. We're gonna be out here late tonight. It's already starting to get dark. I've got a lot of errands to run tomorrow, and I definitely want to take this truck and do them. So we've got to get this finished. It is well after beer 30 now, so the thinking cap is on, and we're gonna get this done. All right, so we got the air compressor in. Pretty brand new blue brackets. And the wiring's connected to it. You can kind of see there. Anyway, we're gonna have to finish the step up tomorrow. I cut out that red piece up there. So the red piece is off of these fenders because they were red if anybody watched long enough ago, this time last year. But I got the two. These are off the orange truck. And I marked this one. This is the passenger side one. Almost cut it, but I couldn't bring myself to do it. So I cut the red one first just to make sure I'm gonna like this angle. It's got some rust or some junk up in there, so it's not sitting flush. I'll have to mess with it. But either way, the orange one will be the one to be the final. I don't think that looks too bad. I'm thinking, you know, I may swoop it to contour a little better. We'll see. What's up, Baba? Hey. All right, we're back at it. We're going again. We got some more errands to do today. We're gonna go pull some seats out of a 2004 GMC. Me and Dad pulled the engine out of it the other day as a 5.3. So there's a 4L60 and a transfer case for sale. And then I'm about to pull these seats and sell them because they're nice leather seats. And then after that, we gotta go quote some jobs. But we're taking Maximus. It's a beautiful day for it. Well, here it is. Me and Dad tore the engine out of this thing the other day. Old 5.3. Somebody's already come and got the hood and most of the front end stuff. But these seats are pretty all right. So I was gonna pull these and maybe give them to one of my buddies, but maybe use them on my next truck. Look at these are sweet. Pretty cool, man. I like those. Also, we ran out of patience here and we sawzalled this garbage out of here because, of course, we can't adjust the seats like this with the push buttons. So we did it the easy way, relatively. But yeah, that is a wrap on this. Hey, girly. Well, boys and girls, that is a wrap for this week. We got us the seats out of that 2004 GMC. They look pretty all right. I might have to save these and use them for my next build. And then that stuff from my mom's. But yeah, only that one little tear right there. Pretty cool, man. Yeah, I don't know. My buddy, the deal is that he was supposed to trade me a few cases of beer for these things. But we'll see if that happens, because I kind of want to put these in the attic of the garage and keep them for a minute for the next project. So yeah, that's a wrap this week. We got our running boards done. Painted nice and pretty like up under here. Well, actually, I didn't fully finish the other side over here, but it's on good enough for now. We'll have to get to it here later. And then I cut that thing. Looks pretty good. So we'll see you guys next week. Say bye-bye.
Bye.